Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Hello and welcome to the 11th module in the series Marketing Management, a VUCA perspective. We are discussing core concepts and now we have started delving deeper and deeper into product marketing, and I am your host and tour guide for this amazing journey, Siddhiprad Bhattacharya. We've been discussing how products are intrinsic to the way marketers are able to reach consumers and solve their problems. But what goes inside products? There is great design and there is also engineering when product managers truly understand the desired outcomes, which comes from consumer research. So very aptly put forward by Michael Fountain, who's director product of Aptentive. He says great products are engineered when product managers truly understand the desired outcomes by actively listening to people, not users. Users already are into the usage of your particular product, but people in general provide a far wider swath of inputs from which you can really construct use cases, you can create scenarios, you can understand why people would or would not pick your product and use it. So that is the larger understanding from which product marketers need to implement their thought processes and enter into the entire art of product marketing. Now, definition of a product comes from the direction which one particular product marketer will gain from understanding consumers. So, understanding those problems that consumers are facing and providing the right solution through product thinking and design is what is critical and central to the success of any thoroughly made product. And that is the premise which we are going to delve into today. So we are into the designing value into and managing product segment of our journey, and this is the second in the series. Here, let's look at product portfolios and understand how to expand whatever you have on offer into a portfolio and create multiple product lines. And this will be a comprehensive guide towards that end. So we are going to create product portfolios and product lines. So these are essential frameworks and they form the backbone of modern marketing strategy. We will examine how companies strategically develop, manage and optimize their product offerings and meet diverse customer needs and maximize the opportunities available in the market. In a real world scenario, we'll analyze these examples from industry leaders like Apple, P&G, Volkswagen to illustrate the key concepts and give you actionable insights for portfolio management, because a portfolio is a whole host of offerings within the larger brand umbrella. And here you will get inputs on how to develop a new product strategy or refine what you already have, and it will equip you with frameworks you require to make informed decisions about the most important bit, your product mix, all the things that you choose to deliberately have within the offering set. So that is probably where any good marketer needs to take it. Now, fundamentally speaking, the differences between a portfolio versus a product line. So what is a product portfolio? It encompasses the complete range of products, and this is offered by the company across all categories and various markets that it operates within. And it represents the company's total product investment and strategic market coverage. Think of it as the parent concept. So this is where everything stems from. This is the core, and therefore from it stems the entire progeny, the lineage. It contains all products within the organization organized into logical groupings based on commonalities which they have with each other. On the other hand, what is a product line? It's a group of related products. These are sold by the same company, and while they also serve similar needs, they also share the distribution channels through which these products finally reach customers, and they target similar customer segments They're not very different, but they may have unique traits which marginally make them different from one another. So you address each niche and micro niche of the customer segment that you're trying to address here. And these products typically share technological platforms, manufacturing processes, and other brand identities. This allows companies to leverage economies of scale and scope, and hence has a product to fit the entire set of needs that any customer may have, differing on the time, place, and the value of it. Overall, strategic management of both these concepts is crucial for positioning your product in the market, and therefore what kind of resources you will put behind it, and how will you plan competitive advantage over a larger swath of time. Companies must balance the breadth, so the number of items, the spread, and the focus. So individual items need a particular kind of specific looking after, and this will help you optimize the market presence and maintain operational efficiency. So these are the goals which are achieved by getting into product portfolio management and product line extensions. Now, how do you understand product portfolios? Product portfolios are comprehensive product collections and represent all products marketed by the company across multiple categories and segments, strategically organized to maximize the market coverage, so that you have a smaller unit as well as a larger unit, maybe, which serves the various needs. These also serve various kinds of other utilities coming from the parent organization and minimize the internal competition. Here you will see strategic resource allocation is important because portfolios enable companies to balance how much are they going to spend. So the investments are balanced across established cash cows, emerging stars, speculative growth opportunities, and you ensure short-term profitability and long-term viability because you have to stay in the business. So if you look at the BCG matrix, you'll find that they are divided into 4 parts. So if you take on one angle the profitability, and on the other angle the spend that you are going to do on it, you'll find that the lowest profitability and the lowest spend typically gives you dogs. This is classified as dogs. More profitability, less spend gives you a cash cow. Then high spend and high profitability tends to give you a star. These are great at the profitability bit, but they are also going to take a lot of investment, and what is left behind is a question mark. So whether you want to go that way or not, that question is left remaining. So if you look up the BCG matrix, you'll find this way of slotting how you want to place your products in the entire mix. So this helps you create strategic portfolio management with models ranging from premium Pro Max series to the valuable SE models if you take Apple's iPhone portfolio. So that is an example we can take here. Each of these Apple devices maintains the core brand values of Apple iPhone while targeting distinct consumer segments based on price sensitivity, feature requirements, and how soon they upgrade the particular phone. So these are ways they actually look at. Now, what are the components of a product portfolio? At the base level, you have individual products. These are specific items offered to the individual customers. On top of this, you will have product lines. So in this case, if the iPhone is an individual product, there could be variants like the SE, there could be the normal iPhone, there could be the Pro Max. These are all individual products, but the overall arching item is the iPhone, within which all of these individual products will be housed. And then finally, the product category would be handhelds. Now, within the handheld category, you may have the phone, you also may have a tab, in this case the iPad, and in this case the iPhone. So the product categories you create, the larger overarching category may be handhelds, but within this you will have multiple interpretations. So this is how components of a product portfolio are structured. This gives you distinct product categories. For example, Michelin, if you take the example, Michelin has premium tires, travel maps, and restaurant ratings. Though they seem to be unrelated, these offerings share a common heritage in mobility and exploration, which is the core of what Michelin tends to offer to its customers. The tire division maintains multiple lines segmented by vehicle type and performance characteristics. Travel guides are organized geographically and by specialty. So, whether you want hotels, restaurants, all of these bits. This multi-category approach allows Michelin to leverage its expertise across industries and gives a cohesive brand identity rooted in quality and reliability. Quality, why? Because the products are there which exude that quality, and reliability because it's all about mobility. So, it stays in that space of mobility and keeps driving that same kind of conversation with the consumer. These synergies between categories create a unique market position, and competitors find it difficult to replicate that kind of thought process because, as you remember, brands are built in consumers' minds. This is critical to understand and remember. Beyond this, if you look at the product portfolio dimensions, you will have the width of the product portfolio, so the number of different product lines which a company offers. Then you will have the length, so the total number of items within all the product lines combined. When you have the depth, you have the number of variants offered within each specific product line. And when you have consistency, you look at the degree of relatedness between different product lines in terms of end use. What is the space? What is the general use? What is the end use case purpose? So, this gives you production requirements, distribution channels, any other dimensions that may shape the actual providing of the product to the end consumer. These 4 dimensions provide that necessary framework for analyzing and optimizing product portfolios. Systematically, you evaluate each dimension, and companies can thereafter identify opportunities for growth, consolidation, repositioning, and meet market needs better and maximize the returns on whatever investments they made into their products. Now, let's look at the individual examples. First is width. So, how diverse is your actual product line? In this, you will see resource allocation starts giving you the understanding of how width balances the investment across these lines. And there is a risk distribution also, because if you have diverse lines, you protect yourself against market fluctuations. Say, supposing the need for a specific kind of offering reduces, a similar yet different line will suddenly take over and keep the coffers going for the organization. And it also allows you for better market coverage. When you have wider portfolios, you meet more customer segments, so you ensure that business keeps going on. So, viability and longevity of the business is critical and important. The product portfolio width actually helps you define that particular space. P&G, for example, exemplifies exceptional portfolio width with product lines spanning personal care, household cleaning, baby care, health care, pet nutrition. The list keeps going on. This breadth helps P&G maintain its presence across virtually every aisle of supermarkets and drugstores, and it creates multiple touch points with consumers through their entire shopping journey. Once they are into that particular shopping space, they pick up P&G items from across aisles. That is how the company and its offerings stay relevant in the consumer's mind. And additionally, P&G leverages its scale to negotiate favorable shelf placement, because when P&G negotiates with the retailer, they don't retail one particular brand at a time. They retail all of P&G's offerings, and hence the heft which P&G carries is able to get you better premium shelf spacing, more promotions, more support, etc. And these also give you insights gained in one category, and innovations in others can be cross-pollinated. So, these are the benefits of doing width-based product portfolios. Now, in terms of total product count or product length, you have the consumer choice, where length provides options for diverse customer preferences, whereas you've got inventory complexity, which talks about increased length requiring sophisticated inventory management. Now, all of these things together help you penetrate the market better, because more items create multiple entry points at various price tiers, and in terms of cost structure, the length impacts economies of scale and production efficiency. So, you have to be careful which particular product item to push forth and which particular item to hold back on. P&G's portfolio length extends to hundreds of distinct products across its numerous brands. So here we see 12 individual products just across 3 product lines, and this demonstrates the multiplier effect that occurs as the company expands both width and depth dimensions. This extensive length allows P&G to serve as a one-stop solution provider for retailers and caters to specific preferences of diverse customer segments. If you have different fragrances within, let's say, a Downy, which provides fabric softening. Various people with various aesthetic tastes when it comes to fragrances can choose their own variety. However, the end result is fabric softening. So, within one particular line, you can create that total product count and keeps giving that length of product variation. Now, when you're talking about depth, you're talking about product variants. Here, customers personalize their experience of that particular brand or product. Variants address specific consumer preferences and use cases. In the case of a retail environment, you dominate the space because you've got more facing in front of the customer on the aisles, and the depth secures valuable shelf space and blocks competitors out because you put your products out there en masse. So that is very important for brands. Then production complexity increases because increased variants require manufacturing and inventory challenges. But if you have a very seamless production line and there is minimum shift from one to the other variant, then those can be managed as you create scale. Then there is price discrimination. Variants also allow effective price tiering strategies. The base product versus the more fragrant product can be priced at a different tier. Tide from P&G exemplifies exceptional portfolio depth and has variants spanning multiple dimensions, including formulation, where you get liquid, you get powder, you get pods. Then you got the scent options which we spoke of. You got original, you got spring, you've got lavender. You got special features also offered, which will include with bleach, where you can do sport and you can do cold water washing. Eco-friendly alternatives also there like Pure Clean, and each of these variants addresses specific consumer needs and maintains the core brand promise of superior cleaning performance, which Tide professes. This allows P&G to command significant shelf space in the retail laundry aisle, and it provides a formidable barrier to competitive entry. This also affects the price discrimination aspect of things and gets you premium variants commanding higher margins, while basic versions maintain market share in the price sensitive segments. Now, how do you keep this consistent in terms of your requirements? You have a strategic alignment. So, production consistency helps you keep similar manufacturing processes and technologies across the product lines and creates economies of scale when you build in bulk, because it reduces the cost of production at a unitary level. And operational efficiencies also come in that lower the production costs overall. The logistics, they are all streamlined. The people you're selling to, they buy in bulk, they buy from one particular larger brand. So you're able to negotiate better. A lot of factors come to your aid. Then distribution consistency, like we said, distribution channels, most products flowing through the same retail partners and supply chain infrastructure, they help bring those costs and activities down. Then you've got consistency of the brand itself, where individual product lines have distinct brand identities. P&G maintains a consistent quality standard and corporate values across its portfolio, and so therefore it's able to signal to its customers that this is who I am, this is what I have on offer, and that is the reason you can trust and buy from me. So there is high consistency from P&G in terms of manufacturing, distribution and aiming at a target market, and this helps create operational synergies and allows for shared resources across the product lines, giving overall efficiency and return on investment. So how do you take a product portfolio and then go about expanding it? So you add more product lines. This is the first and simplest way to do it. You create new categories of products which serve different customer needs and address new market segments altogether. This increases the portfolio width and requires new capabilities and resources mostly. So that is one way to do it. Then you lengthen your existing lines. Here you expand the number of distinct products which each existing product line carries within it, and you can stretch the line. So you can go up market, you can go down market, you can fill the lines by addressing gaps within the current range. If you remember the Xylo example, Xylo filled in that particular market between a Scorpio and a Bolero and created a vertical existing line extension from Mahindra. Similarly, you have a deepened product mix. So here, increasing the number of variants for each product addresses more specific customer preferences, use cases and price points compared to what already exists. And then you enhance the consistency. So if it is your core competency to provide a dishwashing or a fabric cleaning detergent, then you've got more and more variety within your particular fold, and this shares the technologies required to create such a product, and it rides on the same distribution channels. The brand positioning is also pretty much similar, with that particular variant coming in to have its little bit of individuality. It gets you synergies, the brand is remembered more, and there is a rub off. So if you use regular Tide, you will by chance come across any other variant of Tide and feel that yes, it will get the job done. So you won't look away if you're posed with that particular query. So this also gives you operational efficiencies in the larger space, and this helps you get market opportunities, create more competitive dynamics against competition, and enhances your internal capabilities as well. So this is the balance which companies must run. They must walk away from overextending themselves. This is one risk they have. Resource dilution, because one person doing too many things is also a challenge, and you don't want to really add to operational complexity. So these are things to be guarded about. Now, understanding the market fit, because at the end of the day, what will sell will only be because somebody has the demand for it. So it's a demand supply conversation. Customers need that particular assessment, and they will express themselves. You can get this done through research, and each product line in the line of the particular product offering will address some specific customer requirements and preferences. So therefore, research comes in, customer feedback loops start to work in your favor, and you also analyze how the usage pattern of end consumers is. Then, operationally speaking, you look at manufacturing complexity, inventory management and supply chain integration, and manage things within that particular fold to enhance your efficiencies. In terms of the sales requirement, when you track your revenue from various distinct product lines and you ensure that each has a certain margin which it contributes, you're pushing the ones with the better margin out there, and the entire brand rides on those while the others also get sold because of the price considerations. You actually can keep looking at the growth rate of each particular variant within that fold. Again, competition wise, you can look at how you feature against your competition, comparing every specific aspects of what your product does vis-a-vis theirs. You can look at how you're better placed in terms of pricing, and perceptually, what does the consumer really think about you vis-a-vis competition. So all these factors need to be thought through. Then this is where product line managers come in, because they have to look at all these aspects and think these aspects through. So they look at the performance of each particular line. They consistently track sales metrics, profit margins and market share for each product in their line, and they identify what is the trend and how is it shifting, and they address performance issues proactively. On the other hand, they also look at competition and what competition is doing to eat away at their share. They conduct ongoing assessment of competitive offerings, market dynamics and technological trends that might impact the product line's positioning and future viability. Important here is to understand technological trends. If you look at the Indian household scenario today, earlier dishwashers were not very big in India, but now dishwashers are slowly and surely becoming the norm, especially in busy urban households. Why is it so? Because the double income, no or have kids variety of families, they are nuclear. They have a lot of chores to complete, and not at all times will they be entirely sure whether the maid's cleaning will actually get your dishes done properly. So then they go in for a dishwasher which gives them a certain warm water bath, cleanses all the grime from the soiled plates, and also ensures that the bacterial infection is removed to the maximum possible extent. So this is something where dishwashers is coming in. Now, dishwashers will require detergent. Nowadays, if you see, you've got top loading and front loading Matic detergent coming separately, whether it be in the detergent form powders or in the form of liquids or in the form of pellets. All of these variants are becoming more and more relevant as the usage of automatic washing machines increases. So everything is driven by technology, and this is how product line managers keep a lookout for what is changing in terms of trends in the market. Again, something which points to the core of VUCA, because there is volatility in the market. So what is going to happen next, you have to always keep a lookout for the ambiguity. You have to ensure that you are already aware of and abreast of. Then you come into portfolio optimization. Here, specialists make data-driven recommendations about which products to invest in, maintain, harvest or divest, because at times certain products, they lose their utility over time. So then you better move away from those basis the performance metrics and the strategic fit. If the consumer is no longer using AM radios, why go and manufacture one? So this is probably the kind of thought process that marketers, especially product line marketers, need to think of. Innovation management is also part of their oversight, because product line managers look at development of line extensions and improvements and ensure innovation efforts align with customer needs and market opportunities, because they must meet the trends before time so that they are able to hold their market share. They also serve as mini CEOs for their product families and balance short-term profitability with long-term strategic positioning and viability, and coordinate cross-functional teams comprising R&D, manufacturing, marketing and sales, and ensure cohesive execution of the product line strategy throughout its life cycle. Now, when we look at how to position yourself in your market, product line managers need to look at various components. There are various dimensions which we must look at. There is the price tier, where how you are placed in terms of the monetary value, the financial value that you are seeking from a particular product extension. Then the kind of features that you are offering, the kind of audiences that you are targeting, and who else is in the playing field. So competitive frames, all these things need to be looked in. You can ask quick questions to look at where each product sits in the pricing premium spectrum. So you get the pricing answer. What functionality differentiates products will give you the feature sets. Customer groups will give you the target audience, and competitors of each product directly challenging them. If you probe that, you will get the competitive frame. And you will get various examples of where to apply these, whether it be basic, premium, organic milk options for pricing, whether it be good, better, best appliance offerings when it comes to the features that are being put out. Value shoppers versus gourmet food enthusiasts are examples of target segments, very distinct ones. And then in the competitive frame, you can look at private labels versus national brand alternatives which are in the space. So all these supermarkets which exist today, they exemplify sophisticated product line positioning throughout their margin management strategy, and essential items like bread and milk operate as loss leaders with minimal margins, and they drive store traffic because these things are things people buy on a daily regular basis. You produce, they will buy. And specialty departments like bakery, deli, floral, they command premium margins of 40%. because they offer differentiated offerings and they are less price sensitive. So these are places which actually make more profit for the supermarket. So any product line manager will need to look at the various components that are creating profit centers or loss centers and ensure what is the ratio of people coming in, because loss makers at times will get people coming in just to have the footfalls in the space. So those things are also part of the consideration set. Now, how do you visualize your market position? So by definition, what you do is you take a visual technique that plots products and competitors in a two-dimensional graph and uses key attributes valued by customers. This creates a sort of a map of market positions and reveals competitive dynamics and potential opportunities. What is the benefit of doing so? It identifies direct competitors for each product and reveals underserved markets for segments which are yet to be tapped. It highlights potential positioning gaps which you can own and visualizes competitive intensity and clusters in specific spaces which are to be avoided. How do you implement this? You select two critical product attributes that drive customer purchase decisions and you plot according to those particular considerations on the graph. You look at existing products and competitive offerings on these dimensions, analyze the resulting map to identify areas of opportunity and potential repositioning strategies. So, you will get the gaps and then you can move your positioning into those spaces, craft a line which actually supports that thought process. Now, in terms of multi-brand strategy, typically something which a Unilever or Procter & Gamble does. They have multi-brand strategies and they manage major brand portfolios in this particular space. So, they have strategic resource allocation dedicated to each particular brand and they invest on core brands with the greatest growth potential and market impact. Segment specific targeting is also done so that they have distinct brand personalities and resonate with specific customer segments. They create more lines of defense. They create pincer flanking activities and use multiple brands to occupy different price tiers, which is the flanking, and block the competitor entry. So, if you got a costlier brand saying we have got more value, you've got somebody competing against that particular space already entrenched. If you've got a cheaper entrant, you've got the lower value based offering taking that space up as well. Portfolios also get synergized because operationally speaking, you share technologies and platforms across these brands and that gives you that particular synergy and cost of operating efficiency. So, there are various brands which do this. For example, the toy manufacturer Hasbro has $1 billion potential and it has offerings like G.I. Joe, Transformers, My Little Pony, and similarly the FMCG brand Procter & Gamble has adopted a back to basics approach where they emphasize mega brands like Tide, Crest, Pampers, Pringles and each generates over $1 billion in revenue. So, these are strategies that not all brands deserve equal investment. You prioritize the ones which are getting you the more money raked in. So, this is precisely where brands need to look at operational efficiencies. Now, let us look at one particular example, in this case Volkswagen. Volkswagen's brand portfolio, the initial positioning which Volkswagen gave was, it looked at various positioning differences in competition. So, Audi and Seat had sporty images, Volkswagen and Skoda had family car image, Audi and Volkswagen had higher price quality tier and Skoda and Seat had lower price quality tier. So, this is how they looked at the initial positioning of how they were placed vis-a-vis what else was available in the market. When they looked at creating the portfolio and expanded, they reduced costs and streamlined the production. Volkswagen upgraded its lower tier brands and enhanced the Seat and Skoda interiors and improved safety systems across all the 4 brands that the major owned. And they standardized their reliable powertrains so that every particular brand had that basic offering key in place and they shared their platforms and components which gave them that particular operational efficiency as well. There was a certain risk of brands getting diluted. This created those potential cannibalization risks because now the distinction between brands was slightly blurred and price conscious consumers, they started trading downwards. They were moving away even from the value offerings. Then potential damage to premium brand equity also happened because lower positioned brands were now eating into their space and it reduced the margins on high end products because lower ends were also providing similar capabilities in terms of functionality. So, Volkswagen's brand portfolio strategy highlights the tension between operational efficiency and brand differentiation. Even though they had 4, there was a lot of infighting amongst these 4, and by sharing platforms and components across brands, they achieved significant cost savings and therefore, they at the same time risked diluting the distinctive positioning of its premium offerings as well. So, it was a catch-22 for Volkswagen. Now, how do you modernize a product line? You start with the quality standards. This is the most basic of things. Here, you successfully modernize by keeping your core brand values in place and incorporate meaningful improvements that customers will actually value. You look at what you are chasing away because of certain considerations, like if you are increasing the powertrain on your Volkswagen vis-a-vis your Audi, then you will look at bringing both brands together and creating some amount of cannibalization. So that is the worry here. So this piecemeal modernization allows for market testing and seeing how markets react to that and manage your cash flow impact, but it also gives competitors visibility into what strategic direction you are taking. So hence it opens you up to attack from competition. How do you approach this? Companies choose between piecemeal updates, which are gradual or less disruptive, or complete overhauls, which are comprehensive and riskier therefore. And finally, if you have a potential, you must continuously innovate, something which Tesla did very well. We've discussed this previously. Tesla had a product line which required ongoing modernization and remained competitive and addressed evolving consumer preferences. Tesla's case was that it had an EV, it was more of a tech product than really a car. They gave software updates which maximized the utility of the particular machine itself. So all those things brought it in favor of Tesla, and they gave over the air updates. So these factors kept the consumer looking at the new news aspect of what is being offered. An ice cream brand, Häagen-Dazs, has exemplified its discipline for product line modernization with its methodical approach to innovation. Unlike Baskin-Robbins and similar other competitors who compromise quality by injecting air into their ice cream to reduce cost, Häagen-Dazs maintained its premium positioning through careful ingredient sourcing and flavor development. At the end of the day, it is food which is going to go inside your mouth and thereafter into your belly. So they kept the premiumness by keeping the components in the right fashion and not going into cheap tactics like infusing air within the ice cream itself. So all of these factors look at how brands can create their specific positioning. Now when you look at balancing timing in when you put out your product updates, if you release it too early, premature updates can cannibalize your current products. If you delay it, on the other hand, then late updates allows the competitor to establish a leadership position or eat away into your market share. Then you have to look at what others are doing. If you do not respond or anticipate competitor moves, then you will be left in the lurch. Similarly, if the market is not ready for what you have on offer, their habits have not changed, you will find resistance, and this therefore has a customer adoption cycle connect. If that doesn't happen, your product will not receive the necessary offtakes and give you the profitability you so heavily require. Now, when you look at product line length decisions, there is a 3.5x lifetime value multiplier. This must be looked at. Customers who start with entry models and upgrade over time. This has got a 3.5x lifetime value multiplier to be looked at. When you look at premium model margins, you should look at 25% as a minimum. These are the higher margins on upmarket variants. When you're looking at cross-selling for people who look at your brand and want to buy continuously from you, 40% can come from customers who purchase additional products from what you have available in your inventory. Product length decisions are influenced by multiple strategic objectives. The C-Class from Mercedes exemplifies the gateway strategy. So it serves as the initial starting point into the Mercedes brand and introduces young buyers to the entire brand and its experience. Industry analysts have noted the C-Class is critical for the luxury race because it creates the most amount of volume for Benz. It's the entry level product, but people from there want to only move upwards. It also opens the Benz brand to potential future buyers by catching them while they are young, so that you are emphasizing the thought process of what it takes to make the Benz a Benz. And these actually create the hopes that they will upgrade and become invested in bigger, better models as they get affluent and older. Similarly, what you will see that C-Class buyers, eventually they migrate to the E-Class and S-Class models as their lifestyle upgrades and their income and preferences evolve. So this lifetime value of these customers justifies the investment of maintaining the low level entry offerings so that they can enter the brand space and upgrade from there. Now, you can also bring in cross-selling strategies where you complement the product design by, for example, Hewlett-Packard develops printers and computers with integrated features that work together, something which Apple has also done. Its hardware and software are married to each other. So they work very well only when they are working together. And this creates a compelling ecosystem advantage. You put in bundle pricing incentives so that people believe that they are getting more bang for their buck. Similarly, you create a path to upgrades, and that gives you compatible accessories and expansion capabilities, encouraging additional purchases throughout the ownership life cycle. And finally, you keep the customer who's walked in through your door inside your house. So cross-selling helps increase the switching cost from your platform to competitors and strengthens the brand loyalty, therefore, by creating multiple touch points with the customer, something which Apple does very well. It's got the phone, it's got the watch, it's got the AirPods, it's got the tab, it's got the Mac and the MacBook, and a variety of other offerings now. They've got the Apple TV, Apple Payments. So they're expanding in a certain way that you're enmeshed in their brand space. What are the challenges when you grow a product line? You look at customer confusion, because the customer really doesn't know what you have on your mind. So too many choices can actually overwhelm the decision making for the end customer. If there is too much stress on the supply chain, then you will have supply chain stress. So extended lines create forecasting and logistics hurdles. Then in production, manufacturing complexity increases with the number of items you put in terms of variety, and the complex inventory will have more products requiring more sophisticated inventory management, and all of these things add to costs. This will take your profitability down. So it has to be a judicious choice of how much you're investing, what kind of returns are you expecting to gain from it, and that is when you will be able to answer this particular question of how much you want your product line to actually grow. Crocs illustrates both the potential and pitfalls of rapid product line growth, and in 2002, once it launched and successfully it created 2006 IPO, it had meteoric growth that culminated in $847 million sales worldwide. But the combination of the recession which hit and the consumer fatigue with looking at Crocs created a near-death experience for Crocs, with plummeting sales and stock value. They had inventory which was not selling. It was higher priced, so people went for lower, cheaper, similar Me Too options. So a lot of flack was received by Crocs at that particular point in time. They barely survived and came out of it later. So when you look at something which is so extensive, what do? You prune your product line. You take away what is not working and unnecessary. The first tool you use for that is performance analysis. You look at which particular product line is helping you, which is not. How do you prune? You immediately discontinue some, then you phase wise eliminate certain ones, you reposition certain ones where there is more propensity to purchase, and you consolidate some with other products, giving them more robustness. Then finally, you optimize your portfolio, and it gets you the chance to get new promising products. You free up your manufacturing capacity, shelf space is opened up, and your marketing resources are also rationalized. So it simplifies the decision making process for customers who are facing the choice overload also at the same point in time. So it is a systematic process of identifying and removing underperforming products and optimizing your portfolio performance. How do you stretch a line? You can do a down market stretching where you introduce lower price versions. So iPhone has done this. They've done the iPhone C, they've done the iPhone SE, they have created recently with iPhone 16, they've created the iPhone 16e, which is a single camera device, and they've promised a equally good battery life, and they've integrated a lot of features into one camera, giving it the versatility but also taking the price down and making it more affordable and within the reach of a larger number of people. So it reaches those price sensitive customers, gets you the cash flow that you need. Then you can also do two-way stretching where you expand in both the premium and the economy directions. And finally, if you want just more profitability, you can do the upmarket stretching where you add more premium products and capture the high margin segments. But then this is the riskier move. So line stretching will increase the product line length by extending beyond the current range, and it has distinct strategic implications and requires careful consideration of branding, positioning and operational impacts for the organization. Now, in terms of down market stretching, how does it play out? You've got certain growth opportunities because you expand the total addressable market size, and then you can capture the price sensitive segments where you get a volumes game, and you create entry points for first time buyers, introducing them to the brand, what C-Class did for Mercedes, and you respond to emerging market trends if there are certain players who want to be participating in the brand but maybe not at that price point which you currently have. In terms of market dynamics, you must look at how the middle market stagnation or decline is happening, and therefore you want to include more newer segments of consumers inside, and increases the price sensitivity, and lower end competitive threats can be managed here. You can evolve customers' expectations, but remember that people can fight back and they will take it in their own way and undercut you on price. So, those are considerations which a brand must keep in mind. In terms of the branding, you use a parent brand, for example, the Sony approach, or you can create sub brands, the Charmin approach, where you can create a basic, which is a lower end product. Then you develop separate brands for Gap and Old Navy examples, and then you create a strategic brand architecture of where which is placed and how it is positioned. So, all these factors you have to keep in mind similarly. Now, with this you will come across something called brand architecture and hierarchy. So, this is something which we will discuss later as a master brand planning exercise, but just keep in mind that these are aspects that become far more deeper and advanced in terms of the operating understanding of product portfolios, lines, and how you extend them. What are the risks of making these down market moves? Brands get diluted, your margin gets compressed, there are chances of cannibalization of your already premium brands, and there may be channel conflict because existing distributor partners may feel threatened by new market entries as well. So, this is something which has become a problem at times. Gap's creation of Old Navy as a separate brand for its lower priced offerings illustrates one approach of mitigating these risks. You establish distinct brand identities and keep the pricing separate so that you don't run into trouble that way. Tide Basic came out and it also had a problem with it. That's why it's a cautionary tale. You create a lower price version of a flagship detergent, and against this they had to actually go and get their entire rollout done, and you had concerns about cannibalization, brand dilution, so they had to bring it all back in. This showcases how challenging the balancing act is when companies face considering their down market moves. Up market stretching, on the other hand, where you put in prestige, you add more technology, and you create a premier customer experience. So, these are ways that brands can get more money for what they are creating, and when you stretch this way, companies tend to enter premium segments and offer higher profit margins and brand prestige. They create premium products, and it also requires them to develop an advanced technical abilities and can eventually cascade down to more affordable products once they have saturated that particular market. And because you are coming from a top down approach, you will create a halo effect for the entire product line and the brand. So, all of these things start becoming important for the brand, and when you are charging more in terms of the value, so therefore, you are also able to fund a better customer experience. Here, upmarket stretching involves developing better and enhanced customer experiences and service models that require premium offerings beyond just the product features, the way consumers are treated, the time given to them, the detail with which their needs are heard. All of these aspects become part of how the customer experience increases. Toyota created the Lexus brand and created a successful upmarket stretching through a separate brand identity. Typically tends to work. What Old Navy was for the down market approach from Gap, this was the upmarket approach from Toyota's side. Now, you can also stretch both ways. So here two-way stretching involves simultaneous expansion of a product line into both higher and lower market segments. This comprehensive approach aims to provide offerings across the entire price quality spectrum and captures value conscious as well as premium customers alike. But yes, you have to position them separately. Marriott does this very well. It has a two-way stretching format with a hotel portfolio from budget-friendly Fairfield Inn properties and to ultra-luxury Ritz-Carlton experiences. So it spans the entire offering set in that particular way. So how do you use this line filling aspect and close the portfolio gaps? You identify particular product gaps first, where certain product lines have missed opportunities between price points or some features which have not been offered by the organization or brand. Then you assess what kind of demand is there in that particular segment through market interest and revenue potential, and you ensure that you are ready to fill the identified gaps. Then you evaluate the cannibalization risk of what else you have on offer and calculate the potential impact on existing products within that particular product line. And then you create a distinct positioning why somebody should particularly go and pick that one particular extension or variant up, and ensure new additions have clear differentiation from adjacent offerings. BMW has done this exceptionally well. This transformed from a one brand 5 model car maker into a comprehensive automotive powerhouse. Now they have got 14 different series and approximately 30 distinct models. And they have systematically identified and filled gaps in the entire product range, expanding downward with Mini Coopers and its Compact 1 series, and upwards with the Rolls-Royce offering. And they are fulfilling the middle with sports activity vehicles, roadsters and coupes. So the entire offering from BMW's portfolio addresses the appeal to various customer segments from merely affluent to the super rich, and also maintains a certain premium positioning which has always been the centerpiece for BMW. It also builds a clear brand migration strategy, encouraging customers to move from entry level vehicles to more premium offerings over the time and maximizes their lifetime customer value. So these are aspects that BMW has done efficiently and very well. Now, portfolios need to be consistent, and therefore that also presents a certain unique challenge. Here there is distribution complexity. So products with different channel requirements create new operational efficiency requirements, and there is a potential for channel conflicts also between distributors and downline providers. Companies need to balance distribution needs against efficiencies of consolidating the logistics, because that's where you actually save a lot of money. In terms of manufacturing, there is a lot of divergence which can be created, and because different products require different production technologies or quality standards, it may reduce the economies of scale and complicate the entire manufacturing operations of the organization. Then you have modular platforms and flexible manufacturing which can help mitigate these challenges, so they need to be brought into play. Also, there are brand identity conflicts if you create too many. So products that send conflicting messages and about the company identity, they create the confusion, and customers will actually stop being loyal to the larger brand overall. So you need to have clear brand architecture and positioning guidelines to ensure that it becomes critical as the portfolio expands, and allocation tensions also have to be managed. So here diverse product lines compete for limited company resources, and therefore internal tensions within the organization and potential underinvestment across the portfolio is a risk which the company runs. So you have to have prioritization frameworks to manage these internal conflicts. Procter & Gamble is one particular organization which demonstrates effective consistency management, and it takes all its diverse product lines into focused business units, and they have shared characteristics allowing for specialized expertise to manage them better and keep that cross unit learning also going at the same time, so that they are synergistic where and when it is possible. There is a brand Purina which did that particular two-way stretch. They did an offering set where they had a pro plan of $40 for an 18-pound bag. This was super premium. It had high quality real meat, and supported longevity of that particular brand. Purina 1 had $25, which was lesser, which was premium and met challenging nutritional needs, targeted the formulas. Dog Chow, which had $15, which was mainstream and just gave complete nutrition for each life stage, and Alpo was a separate brand. So that was $10 for a similar kind of weightage, and it was a value offering which had flavor, variety and affordable nutrition for your pet. So a pet nutrition brand doing it is something which is unique to be also seen. Now, customer response to portfolio complexity is interesting because 76% people abandon their shoppers who leave without purchasing when faced with too many choices. 43% actually stick to familiar brands and products to avoid that choice complexity, and 6 to 8 is the ideal option count when you look at the number of variants consumer look at, and effectively they are able to compare this much. This is something if you do not do, then you will run into choice overload or paradox of choice. You will be spoilt for choice and the customer will therefore not end up either buying or not end up choosing you. You want to keep them closer to heart and therefore need to remember that less is more. This is one approach which is very, very strongly important to remember, and this has at times led to increased sales, stronger brand identity and improved operational efficiency as well. Portfolio and line management will therefore need a strategic framework, trade-off management, market positioning and continuous optimization, things that you need to remember when it comes to deploying this particular approach. So, with all of these factors coming into play, what we will delve into further is more ways to understand how product marketing and product management are crucial to the success of any organization and the brand that it houses. Until next time, I'll see you.
Hi, my name is Gillette Sam and I teach sociology at IIT Kanpur. Uh, One of the things you must have noticed if you read or if you talk to people around you is that they often refer to something called globalization, or they often say we live in a global world. What does this mean? Today I'll tell you about how to think about globalization or interpret the word global in a sociological manner. When sociologists refer to globalization, they refer to three things. The first is that that it involves transplanetary processes, which means that something is going on across multiple borders, right? The second is that it involves heightened liquidity and interconnected flows. Now, by liquidity, and this is a term that was coined by the sociologist Zygmunt Bauman, we refer to the increasing interconnectedness of things across the globe, but we also refer to increasing instability across the world, which means that potentially something that is occurring many kilometers away from you actually influences the place that you live in. So, if there is a natural disaster happening in one part of the world, maybe that causes people to migrate from that area and they come and settle where you stay. So, that is what we mean by liquidity. And of course, when we are talking about liquidity, we are talking about things that are really moving from one place to the other. Now, the third aspect, and this is something that you may not conventionally come across in the way people use globalization, is that of structures. So, let's take an example. Supposing I, as an Indian citizen, wish to visit a foreign country. Let's say I want to go to South Africa. Can I just pick up my bags and hop on the next plane and go to South Africa? Any logical person is going to say, no, wait, you need to have documents such as your passport or visa. Now, this passport or this visa is a representation of the larger structure that governs how people move across borders. So we have things like border control, national security agencies that consider what kind of people are going to move from one place to the other. Correct? So when we think about globalization, an average person typically tends to think about things moving or people moving from place to place. As sociologists, we also consider that there are structures that facilitate or direct this movement across multiple borders.